Okay, so this is just a solo attack on an SA3 that I did. Basically just practicing employing only dumb weapons on SAM site. I think it would have been better if I picked something like an SA6 that was a little bit more aggressive, close range, and low level. As you'll see, the SA3 doesn't do a whole lot. But yeah, my plan is I just got off the tanker, so I'm at full fuel or pretty close. And I'm gonna just go in, low level, and try to hit this thing with CBUs. I anticipated a little bit more resistance from the SA3 than I actually got, but you'll see that. My original plan is here to just use the HTS to find the rough location of the site, switch to the TGP, and get a mark point on that so I can see it, because I'll be dropping in CCIP, so I won't have the targeting pod to really stay on the target, so I wanted to put a mark point on it so I could always know exactly where that site is at with the HIMICs. And then, yeah, and then I can really plan out my attack. I know kind of roughly where the site is positioned because I placed it in the mission editor. I kind of have a rough heading to fly, but I don't know, of course, its exact location. I know it's on the other side of the water over here, on the other side of the canal, but I don't know exactly where. So I have the HTS pod up now, the HAD page. I'm going to just try looking for it, since I'm so far away that the HTS pod isn't getting a good target solution on it, which is to be expected. I'm really far away, so it's still at PGM5 or so. As I get closer, I'm able to find the site and find it with the TGP, which really helped. Like I said, the SA3 site didn't really put up too much of a fight. I don't have any AAA set there. I don't have any man pads or anything. It's just the SA3. So I kind of went in a little bit more cautiously than I could have. I didn't expect it to be so easy, frankly. But my CBU employment, as you'll see, kind of makes it more difficult than it needed to be. Okay, so you see there the HTS finally got a good target resolution on it to where I was able to find it with the TGP. Now I'm just putting a mark point on that. There it is. Set that as my steer point. And now I'll always have that steer point in my hammocks. TGP's off of it now once I reset it. There, I'll look at it, and it's roughly on the coast there. Okay, so that now I know exactly where that SA3 site is. It's not locking me yet. I'm still a good ways out from it. About 25 miles, looks like. So that thing's not really going to start looking at me for a little bit here. I ended up dropping down pretty much as soon as I go feet wet. Or just before. Oh, there it's starting to look at me. So I pretty much drop altitude and start on here. I'm messing with my countermeasures. I don't use the ECM pods very much, so I'm just kind of reacquainting myself with it. I don't think it was necessary for this. It doesn't ever really lock me up until I do my pop-up. I'm so low, even though I'm flying out over the water, since it's right on the bank of the canal here. I assumed it would put up more of a fight just because I was flying over water and I didn't have any terrain masking, which is the point of these SA3 sites, or just the SAM site locations, is that it's really difficult to get out of the radar's field of view. So here I'm dropping down, really accelerating now. I ended up basically just mill power as low as I could be, or fairly low at least. And I'm being fairly cautious. I didn't want to just fly straight at it because I assumed it would launch on me. It ended up never launching on me. But I mean, it must mean I did something right at least. So I came in fairly low and offset just to make it a little bit easier to turn and defend the missile. Because if I'm pointed straight at it, I essentially have to do a full at least 90 to hit the notch and then 180 to go cold and defend it. If I'm already, 30, 40 degrees offset, that's just less turns that I have to do. If I'm at an angle, my chaff is going to make more of a difference. It's going to be more effective than if I'm just straight on. So coming in closer, I'm about 10 miles away now. So I'm pretty close to this thing. I'm expecting a launch now, but it's not even locking me up, which was strange. Ended up pretty much keeping this offset and then doing my pop-up. As soon as I pop up, it locks me up, but I'm so close to it, it really doesn't ever fire on me. Just making sure that that's accurate, and it is. And I have my CBU set to deploy 2,000 feet, which was way too high, and my pop-up was too low. So my first CBU here ends up being less than effective, and you'll see that. Here I'm in mill power, get nice and low, 100 feet off the deck. And I'll go into afterburner into my pop-up here just to bleed as little energy as possible, and then up at the apex of my pop-up, I'll go mill power. Here's my pop-up, there's the afterburner. Here it locks me up. Counter. But I'm so close to it, there's no way an SA3 is going to launch up. Now, my apex was about 4,500 feet, which is way too low. Basically, as soon as they come off the jet, as soon as that one bomb came off the jet, it was deploying. So when I look back, I caught the corner of the site. I probably took out a launcher there. And that site's just completely quiet. So it's really not looking at me at all right now.
Pull up.
So I'm going to come around and attack from the other side of it here, on the other side of these wind towers. Still going pretty fast. I'm just assuming that they can launch on me. He never does. But if I can keep some airspeed up, that'll make it easier to defend any kind of missile. And I mean, even though it doesn't launch on me, it's still good practice to stay fast, stay low, just assume you're going to get missiles launched at you. I was a little disappointed that I didn't have to defend any missiles. Would have made it a little bit more interesting. But I think this kind of just illustrates that it's a decent way to take out an SA3. It's just super, super low level. Pop-up attack is effective. So here I'm coming on my second run in with my CBU. I only have 2 bombs on, so this will be my last run with CBUs, and I end up going to guns here to actually take out the track radar, because this bomb also doesn't hit the track radar. And I have them set to a 45-degree drop as well. 45-degree release. Really skimming these wind towers.
Altitude. Altitude.
560 knots again. I'll go afterburner. There it is.
Altitude. Cat flare.
Slightly less aggressive.
Cat flare. Counter.
Pop up here just because last time it never launched on me, so I'm assuming. But I really didn't get that much higher. My apex was about 6,000 feet.
Counter. Altitude. Altitude.
I dropped early since the last one went long. I dropped early.
Cat flare. Counter.
Dropping countermeasures. This is good practice. That one was better. Definitely better. Still didn't quite hit the track radar, which is what I wanted to hit, obviously. If you hit the track radar, it'll cripple the sight. Can no longer target anything. So I switched to guns, and I'm like, you know what? Most of its launchers are done. Even if it does launch 1 missile at me, I should be fine. But I should be able to get guns on the track radar. Get it taken out.
Counter. Cat flare. Counter. Cat flare. Counter.
At this point, I'm pretty much just being aggressive. It hasn't launched on me yet. I'm assuming it's just not going to. I'm just taking the risk that it's not going to. I never set my range. Good with it being off there, but there goes the track radar.
Pull up. Altitude. Altitude. Cat
Putting
flare.
flares out just as good practice. I know there's no man pads there, but it's always good to
Cat
practice.
flare.
If you're in a mission that there are man pads, there is AAA, it's always good to pump out countermeasures over top of the target area. And then I end up hitting 1 launcher. I don't have that much ammo left, but I just end up dumping it all on another launcher. Trying to decide what launch. I end up going up with the closest one to me here. I really should be closer, which I end up doing. Offsetting slightly. End up taking that launcher out with my last little bit of gun ammo there. I'm now Winchester, and it's time to RTB, and that sight is dead. That sight is dead.
Cat flare.
So obviously notes for this attack would be my pop-up attacks with my bombs sucked. The second one wasn't completely horrible. I was able to take out part of that sight. But the first one really was pretty bad. Nowhere near enough altitude. I ended up popping up too close, I think. So even if I did go up to, say, 7,000-8,000 feet, my dive angle would have been extremely steep, which is not necessarily a bad thing, except that I have it set in the jet for a 45-degree release. So that's kind of what the CCIP is looking for. And it's good practice to match your planned dive angles, at least as good as you can. And I'm just burning out of here. At this point, this attack went better than I thought, and I had full fuel ingressing. So I'm just kind of noticing that I still have more than full internal, something like 8,500 pounds of fuel left, which is absolutely plenty. So I'm just mill power, do a climb, and I ended up staying mill power all the way to recovery. So yeah, the really things I need to work on here, obviously, is my CBU employment. That didn't go very well. I should have had them, having them set to 1,500 foot release probably would have been the best way to go. But even at that, my employment wasn't good. My CCIP was not good. But we got it done. We got the SA3 dead. And it was kind of a fun way to fight an SA3, even though it never even launched on me. That's the one thing I'm disappointed about. I think next time I'll try with an SA6 and see if that's better, and then I know something like an SA11 or an SA15 would definitely be more of a fight attacking it this way. It's kind of fun for me to try to not rely on harms for seed, because I mean harms are sort of hit and miss, you know. There I am. Nice shot of the jet. Leaving. And then we'll skip forward to recovery at Nevatim. Here, 2 seconds. All right, so here I am, initial approach at Nevatim. Just coming around the last few degrees of turn, getting lined up, and I'm just about at altitude that I want to be, pattern altitude. Nevatim's at about 1300 ASL, so I want to be roughly 2800 ASL to make the 1500 foot AGL target. And I'm targeting 400 knots into the break. Lately I've been liking a little bit faster speeds. I think most of the Air Force manuals say 350 knots level break. I find the F-16 bleeds a lot of speed really fast at 350. So I end up closer to like 200, 210 on the downwind, which it just feels super slow. I want to be pretty much, lately I've been trying to target pretty much 240 to 250 right as I'm rolling out on downwind, so I can put my gear down right away and then be slowing down. That way I'm not just like hanging there on speed forever. But 400 is a good speed. I like 400. It's not crazy fast, but it's still fun. And as soon as that tadpole flips, I'm going to the brake. There it is. And I'll go to idle. And I'll pull 3.5 to 4 Gs. I hover around 3.5, 3.6, 3.7. I thought this was a pretty good recovery. I'm looking at my HSI because I have my course set, so it's good to eyeball. I'm pretty bad at eyeballing. Now that I realize I probably could have just used this runway here. I've never really thought about doing that, but balloon up a little bit, that's no big deal. But I like to use the HSI, going back to what I was saying, to really make sure that I'm parallel to the runway on the reciprocal. It can be difficult in DCS especially, I think, to eyeball, to look across and see whether you're actually abeam the runway or not. It's tough to eyeball your heading that way. In real life, I'm assuming it's easier to do that because a lot of pilots just do this visually. And I've done it visually, it's just more difficult. So there I am, about at the perch. A little bit of throttle, and I'll start to turn now. And I pull a little bit on this turn just to maintain, you know, 11 to 14 degrees AOA. That goes pretty good. And if anything, I try to be high rolling out on glide slope so I can balloon down. Being below glide slope when you roll out here, it's tough. Don't be tempted to roll out on that taxiway. I've done that before. Those long taxiways look like runways if you're not paying attention. So here I'm noticing that I'm way good. I'm gonna make the lineup, which is nice. You always hate to overshoot the runway. So I'm rolling out here about perfect, about where I want to be. Maybe just a tad high, but not really. Centering my head here. And then as I approach, I'm just going to move that flight path marker to touchdown zone, flared on speed, and touchdown. Little shaky on the initial aero brake here, but I ended up stabilizing here. There we go. And she wants to come around about 115 or so. Which is a tiny bit fast, but I'm not super lightweight. I still got all my missiles, tanks, and about 5,000 pounds of fuel. So I'm not super lightweight. So yeah, that's it. Just a fun little low-level attack on an SA3. Some things went really good, some things went not so good. It's just kind of fun here, and I wanted to try out a voiceover, so So yeah, all I have to do is taxi to parking now, and then we're done.